Hello and welcome. I'm Jeremy Olivier, and here's what happened this week. The world's attention was on South Korea Thursday, as U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping were in the country for a brief but significant meeting. The two mainly talked trade, with both sides reporting positive results. Cadence Caranta was in South Korea and has more.
A highly anticipated moment as the leaders of the world's two biggest economies come face to face for the first time in years. U.S. President Donald Trump had for days been talking up his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, saying it was bound to be productive. And from what he told reporters afterwards, the nearly 2-hour-long talk did not disappoint.
Overall, I guess on the scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. I think it was a 12. I think, very importantly, just the whole relationship is very, very important. And I think it was really good.
The meeting seems to have eased ongoing trade tensions between the two nations, at least for now. Trump says U.S. tariffs on China will be lowered. In exchange, he says Xi agreed to delay tightening export controls on rare earth minerals, crucial for many U.S. technologies. China also agreed to buy more American agricultural products and help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Trump added the two sides look set to finalize a trade deal and that he and Xi agreed to visit each other's countries in the spring. China also sounded upbeat. In a statement, it said it hoped to minimize trade tensions, that trade should not cause conflict between the two countries, and that cooperation, rather than retaliation, is the way to go in the future. It echoes comments Xi made during the meeting.
And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations.
There had been some speculation the two leaders might touch on the subject of Taiwan, a sore spot in U.S.-China relations. Trump had suggested in the days before the meeting that it could come up, but it seems they avoided the subject.
It never came up. Taiwan never came up. Let's not discuss, actually.
Still, officials in Taiwan were following the meeting closely and trying to reassure the public that relations with the U.S. are stable. On Thursday, Foreign Minister Lin Jialong said the country is confident in its ties with the U.S. And the head of Taiwan's main opposition Kuomintang, Eric Chu, said he hoped the meeting could contribute to cross-strait peace, with both the U.S. and China playing a big part in the stability of the Taiwan Strait. Back in South Korea, drama unfolded around the summit's location. The two leaders ended up holding their summit at the edge of this airport in the southern city of Busan, far away from where the action of APEC is actually taking place, reportedly due to security considerations. And it caused quite a stir in the area nearby. Protesters appeared outside the airport before the meeting began. And some who got too close to a crowd welcoming the Chinese president were taken away by the police. Though the meeting didn't last long, it seems to have produced some significant results. Now, the question is whether this new thaw in U.S.-China relations will hold and what that will mean for the rest of the world. Justin Wu and Cadence Caranta in Busan, South Korea for TaiwanPlus.
Before his visit to South Korea, Trump made a stop in U.S. ally Japan. There, he and Japan's new Prime Minister Takaichi Sinai reaffirmed the U.S.-Japan alliance and pledged to work together on securing rare earths. John Van Trieste reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae greet each other in Tokyo's Akasaka Palace. For Takaichi, today is one of the first tests of her leadership. Japanese goods are subject to a 15% U.S. tariff rate, and the country's had to invest $550 billion in the U.S. But Washington wants more, greater access to the Japanese market for vehicles and agricultural goods. Still, Japan, with nearby rivals and hostile neighbors, has its own security interests to look after. And besides, the U.S. and Japan are working out a new tariff deal that might be more favorable to Tokyo. Japanese firms may even make inroads into the U.S. with all the Japanese investment going there. It was a meeting filled with warm words, with both sides placing high hopes on what's next in U.S.-Japan relations.
Through these efforts with you, Mr. President, I hope we can build a new golden age of the Japan-U.S. alliance, where both Japan and the United States will become stronger and also more prosperous.
The two leaders signed two documents, one on bringing about a golden age in U.S.-Japan ties, and another on working together to secure rare earth minerals, as Washington works to reduce its reliance on China by diversifying its supply of critical minerals. Trump has much to be pleased about besides all the Japanese investment. Takaichi's government will raise military spending to 2% of GDP early, meeting Trump's expectation that U.S. allies take more responsibility for their own defense. He praised Takaichi and pledged any U.S. help Japan may need.
Our country, I want to just let you know, anytime you have any question, any doubt, anything you want, any favors you need, anything I can do to help Japan, we will be there. We are an ally at the strongest level.
Takaichi and Trump also talked baseball. They spoke about Takaichi's mentor and Trump's friend, the late Prime Minister Abe Shinzo. And Takaichi said new cherry blossom trees and a Japanese fireworks show are coming to Washington next year to mark 250 years of U.S. independence. As Trump prepares to head to South Korea for a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, he leaves Japan with assurances that despite trade frictions, the U.S.-Japan alliance will thrive. Ryan Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Cut Taiwan's undersea cables, and the country goes offline. In recent years, Taiwan has seen its critical infrastructure targeted by China's gray zone warfare tactics. Now, as Alan Liu reports, new laws could help it fight back.
In waters near Taiwan, those usually tasked with guarding the coast now find themselves guarding critical infrastructure deep below. Using ships and fishing boats, China has been sabotaging the cables that keep Taiwan online. Now, changes to the law could give Taiwan a tool to fight back.
只要是扯断电缆的外力扯断，我们都视为国安件，那都会报请检察官指挥侦办。
On Thursday, changes to 3 acts, the Electricity Act, the Natural Gas Enterprise Act, and the Water Supply Act, passed the first of 3 reviews in the legislature. Their aim to protect Taiwan's key infrastructure by providing harsher punishments for those caught tampering with underwater internet, gas, water, and power infrastructure. It's all part of a broader package known as the 7 Undersea Cable Laws. These changes could allow authorities to seize vessels and charge any involved crew with up to 7 years in prison.
你把刑责拉高，那这样子的话才会有拉高它的、提高它的一个嚇阻效力。所以我们做这些准备的动作，一方面防止我们被无尽的消耗，一方面也增加其他国家跟我们合作的一个意愿。
But harsh punishments won't be a deterrence if perpetrators don't fear getting caught.
当然，最大挑战是在于说，你真的第一个是你要能够侦测到，这个侦测到还包括说，你侦测到之后，你的海象是容不容许你去做拦检跟登船，登船之后再做扣押，这些都是很多在海上的实务，它是牵涉到很多很高的风险。
On average, Taiwan's cables are damaged or tampered with 8 times a year. These incidents, which could take Taiwan offline, expose real vulnerabilities within the country's communications lifelines. To boost cable security and deter interference, officials hope the proposed law changes will give Taiwan and its Coast Guard a new edge in the coming months. Patrick Chan and Alan Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Authorities in Taiwan are calling out China's latest move to target a ruling party lawmaker. And even though China does not have legal authority in Taiwan, its pressure tactics could have an impact. Alan Liu is back with this report.
Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party is blasting China for targeting one of the party's lawmakers with a criminal investigation.
先透过司法的威吓，让他锁定的个人或团体心生恐惧，这跟他们在香港所做的如出一辙。
The condemnation comes after local authorities in China announced a case against DPP lawmaker Puma Shen, who is viewed by China as a separatist who, quote, divides the country. Chinese state media Xinhua published an article justifying the move, calling it fully supported by facts and grounded in law. But the probe has been rejected by Taiwan's government agency that handles cross-strait matters.
事实上，中共的管辖权不及台湾，台湾的国民也不受到任何的拘束。
That said, China's pressure tactics could get help from collaborators within Taiwan, and the government is watching out for this.
那我们也会跟相关的警政单位在境内的时候要来注意，也要避免到有在地协力者。
And there are also concerns that the case could make it dangerous for Shen to travel to countries with close ties to China.
因为中共它跟一些比较友好的友中亲中的国家，那它可能有它的一些引渡的一个措施。那这部分我也会建议那个破马委员这边可能也要稍微注意一下。
China has long warned against what it calls die-hard Taiwan independence activists. But this is the first time it has formally opened a criminal case against one of Taiwan's lawmakers. As Beijing doubles down on its pressure tactics, DPP lawmakers are calling for unity among Taiwan's political parties against the threats, saying their legislators could be next. Alex Chen, Heng Shi, and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Restaurants and shopkeepers are bracing for losses and possible closures as pork supplies dwindle. Comes after authorities confirmed Taiwan's first case of African swine fever. On Monday, they extended a ban on pig slaughter and transport to try to keep the virus from spreading. Aichi has more.
This food market in the southern city of Kaohsiung is practically shut down, one victim of African swine fever cases that's jeopardizing Taiwan's pork supply. The only store here with pork still in stock only has a 3-day supply left.
礼拜五那天呐，他临时公布的啊，我们就没办法去大卖场拿货了。
Though African swine fever isn't a threat to human health, it is fatal in pigs. A news that hogs at the Taichung farm tested positive on October 21st has led to a call and ban on the slaughter and transport of live pigs, originally for 5 days, but now extended for 10 more. Genetic sequencing shows the disease got into Taiwan by way of Vietnam, but while investigators worry about how the disease got to Taiwan, businesses want to know what comes next and how they're going to make ends meet. From grilled meat and sausage to steamed buns and dumplings, pork is a staple of Taiwanese cuisine.
说5天禁运，我们就有一点危机意识，所以我们就会找其他的之前没有配合过的协力厂商来谈这个价钱。
昨天突然又宣布说要停尸10天的话，店面的肉包都剩下很少了，已经几乎都快没了啦。
Some vendors say foreign pork isn't an acceptable substitute. In recent years, U.S. pork imports in particular have been controversial due to the prevalence of a feed additive bans in Taiwan. And some vendors say foreign pork, wherever it comes from, just doesn't taste the same.
本土猪肉好吃，我们不可能用国外的猪，用国外猪肉是会有味道，那个老客人都会马上吃出来。
For some, this leaves few choices, none of them good. The Agriculture Ministry said Monday that the disease hasn't spread beyond the farm in central Taiwan, where it was first reported. But the ministry says it's still too early for Taiwan to let its guard down. Luffy Li, John Ventriez, and Aichi for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan won big at this year's Asian sports stacking competition in China. The team brought home 43 gold, 26 silver, and 22 bronze. Of those, indigenous athlete Sama Basao won 11 gold and 3 silvers, and also broke 3 world records.
我们的国际大挑战是总冠军，2连霸的情况下，对我这次的成绩，我们觉得整体下来是表现得很好。
The athletes are back in Taiwan and preparing for their next major competition next year. And thank you for watching. Here's what happened. Before we go, check out these therapy dogs bringing joy to mental health patients at a hospital in Brazil. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.